Hi, I'm Christine and welcome back to my sewing studio. Today is going to be a quick video on recovering a pillow. I have this pillow here, it's had a different type of fabric on it, got kind of tired of it. I've just recently been to Joann's big closing sale and bought some cute outdoor fabric. I'm going to make this pillow and stick it outside. The only materials you'll need today is, of course, fabric, a pillow. You can use stuffing if you'd rather, if you have your own stuffing. You'll need a ruler and straight edge to make markings. You'll also need a marker or some chalk to mark up your fabric, some pins, and some scissors. So first off, you want to decide what size pillow you want to make. If you're using stuffing, of course you can choose any size you want. Since I'm recovering this pillow, what I did was I measured the size of the pillow. It ends up being 20 inches by 20 inches. Now, a lot of people say to add seam allowance. If you decide, hey, I want to make a 12 inch by 12 inch pillow and I've got stuffing, then for sure add your seam allowance. So when it's done, it's 12 by 12 and you can stick your stuffing in there. But since I am recovering this pillow, I actually recommend cutting the fabric to exactly 20 inches by 20 inches. Then of course you will have a little bit of seam allowance, but when you stuff the pillow in there, the pillow will be nice and tight and it won't be loose. So that's what I like to do, but of course it's totally up to you. Okay, since I know I want to make a 20 by 20 pillow, I'm now going to measure it out. Taking my big flat edge ruler, and I'm going to mark 20 inches at a few different spots. That way when I draw the line, I can match up 3 different locations at least. Especially since we know the chalk isn't always perfect. Draw the line, and then I will measure from the bottom up. So I've got my square marked off and I'm going to cut it. I actually like using my rotary cutter. My husband bought me this cutting mat that fits my full table, which I really love because I used to have 2 smaller cutting mats that I'd move around. But this way I know I'm for sure not cutting the table. Of course it needs a new blade, so let's go back over it. Okay, so I've my 2 parts. Now you're going to want to put them face to face, right side to right side. Since these guys are flamingos, which I think are so cute, I want both sides facing up. So I have to make sure I flip them up to the right side. And then I have a right side to right side. Now you're going to go ahead and pin 3 sides. Okay, so I've got all 3 sides pinned. Now, since I am stuffing it with an actual pillow, what I'm going to do on this open side is I'm just going to sew in just a little bit on either side. Of course, when you start sewing around at all the corners, you want to make sure you stick the needle in there, flip up the foot, and pivot the material so you've got one long seam all the way around the pillow. Now, if you're stuffing it, you could easily just leave about that much opening because you just need enough to stick your arm in there. So maybe a little bit bigger than just your hand. Since I am stuffing the pillow, of course, I'm stuffing it with a pillow, I'm leaving about that much so I can stuff the pillow in there. So once I've done pinning, I'm going to go ahead and sew it. Okay, so now I'm going to start sewing. Like I said, I'm going to start on my open end, maybe about 2 inches from the edge. Back stitch there. Every corner, I'm going to stick my needle in, lift the foot, and pivot it, and just go all the way around. And I'll be using about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I got that all sewn. So now you should have 3 sewn edges and a slight opening. So now we're going to go ahead and turn it right side out. I've turned mine right side out, and one little tip I like to use, I take a chopstick and I stick it in and push to help push out the corners very gently, because it's happened to me before where I push too hard and the chopstick pushes right through the fabric. So it's just an easy way to get your corners nice and sharp. So I'm going to do that on all 4 of my corners. And now I do recommend ironing it down. However, I made another pillow yesterday using some outdoor fabric, some blue outdoor fabric I bought, and I melted the fabric. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is cut out a small piece of fabric and test it on my ironing board. So then you want to just iron it out. I also have a couple wrinkles in there, so it'll be nice to get those out. So I have ironed down my seams, the edges, and get rid of a couple of the wrinkles in there. And now I'm going to stuff it with my pillow. This takes a little bit. Actually, it may not be that hard. I want to make sure I get it in the corners. So there you go. It's nice and tight. I used an exact length. It was a 20 by 20 pillow. I cut the material exactly 20 by 20. So there is 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, but once I sew the bottom part, it'll be nice and tight in there. So now what you want to do is go down at the bottom and sew that seam. Unfortunately, it will have to be by hand. The way I like to hand sew my pillows is first I will go through and pin the edges, and then I'll just go through and just, I don't know what it's called, but I'll basically flip over the seam on each stitch. That's kind of the way I like to do it. But go ahead and finish up your pillow. Okay, I have finished sewing up the bottom of my pillow and I'm all done. Gonna go stick it outside on my couch. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please leave me a comment if you'd like. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have a great day.